ng objective, gusto ko namin protektahan yung buhay ng mga tao. Kaya mahirap, kaya mayaman, lahat ho kailangan maprotektahan.
Aim po ng DO nato, ng Department Order na ito, ay maproteksyon po ang ating pampublikong transportasyon na huwag maging vector po ng pag-transmission ng ating ng Omicron variant.
Meanwhile, the DILG says they will not be requiring permits or passes for unvaccinated individuals who want to go out for essentials.
Kailangan lang nila pakita at patunayan na talagang bibili lang sila, and hopefully hindi naman sila magsisinungaling at payagan po sila ng mga barangay na officials na haharang sa kanila para magtanong kung sila'y bakunado at hindi. Kung sasabihin lang hindi, at bibili lamang, hopefully sa assessment on the ground, alam nyo, assessment naman talaga yan ng mga taong on the ground, no, sa kanilang pag nakita sa ating mga kababayan. So kung ang kanilang assessment talaga namang bibili, then papayagan po naman sila.
The Health Department has shifted its COVID-19 health policy for testing, contact tracing, and treatment, while the public questions another government policy banning public transport for the unvaccinated. What should government do better to slow down the record high numbers? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this Thursday edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. Also with us, Ana Marie Pamintuan of the Philippine Star, Luchi Cruz Valdez, the head of News 5, and Robbie Alampay of One News. Robbie and ladies, happy Thursday.
Evening.
Happy Thursday.
Yep. Ami,
Happy
what's your...
weekend na sana, no?
Huwag naman happy
Okay.
weekend. Bukas pa. Bukas na.
Okay.
Ako ngayon pumipreno, di ba?
Tawa na ako.
Naunahan mo ako eh. Ami, what's your banner story tomorrow?
Nag-academic health break na yung higher education institutions. Dumadami na sila. And in the meantime, si Mayor Isko Moreno dineclare na 1 week academic break na for all levels. Dun sa City of Manila dahil nga sa dumadaming infection. Yun ang binabantayan natin.
Yeah. And the other thing is, in-announce na ng DOH effectively, policy na, yung shift, that remarkable shift in testing policy, as well as in the quarantines, pero testing policy more than anything.
For the fully vaccinated lang yan, emphasize ha, saka for mild or asymptomatic.
Mild and asymptomatic. Yeah. But that's a major shift in itself eh. Diba?
Yes. Panibagong bilangan na naman yan sa mga Viber group at saka sa mga kachat nyo sa pamilya, di ba? Ilang araw na tayo nagkakalkula ng kung saan ilang araw mo bibilangin. Ngayon, nagbago na.
Yung iba bigli...
Hindi natin alam kung ano yung reaction ng health workers, di ba? Dahil lahat sila halos fully vaccinated.
Yeah. And boosted na, di ba?
Yeah. And nagpo-protesta nga sila, di ba, yung nurses.
Well, of course, the other controversy has to do with what will be fully implemented come Monday, which would be the no vaccination, no ride policy. Sorry, inunahan na kita sa segue. I suppose kasi we should bring in our first guest for tonight. We're going to have two different views tonight on this policy. Let's bring in our first guest, Senate President Tito Soto. Senate President Soto, sir, magandang gabi po, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good evening, Senator.
Welcome back po.
Honor and pleasure. Luchi, Ami, Robbie, Ed, that everyone in the Chiefs.
Muntik na ibang programa sabihin niyo, sir. Sir, ang ganda ng background ninyo. Sir, let me start off with this. You've been quoted as saying na yung no vaccine, no ride policy is discriminatory. From your perspective po, does this policy coming into full implementation on Monday, does it have any legal ground to stand on, and should it or could it be questioned legally in court?
It's debatable. Definitely debatable. Now, I would throw caution to the executive department, the IATF in this case, or the DOH or the Department of Transportation. Because we should explore, or they should explore, alternative methods of or means of convincing the public to avail of free vaccination, of the free vaccination program of government. Pero yung all of a sudden, binabanggit nila dati yan, pero if they will start with it on next week, Monday, vaccinated, kailan hindi pwedeng isakay sa public transport. So what do they expect the jeepney drivers to do? Bababa. Isa-isahin niya yun, lahat na sasakay, hihingi niya muna ng hihingan niya muna ng vaccination card.
Yeah. And they will be liable, sir. They will be liable if they don't know.
Hihingan niya muna ng vaccination card. Hindi pa yun ang delikado. Ay, hindi naman delikado kung hindi pa na-explore. Paano yung mga survivor na hindi na kailangan magpabaksin dahil immune na sila eh? Survivor sila eh. Ibig sabihin yung mga survivor na mas matapang ang immunity kaysa sa mga vaccine na hinasasaksak sa atin, bawal sumakay. Palagi ko, it does not conform with the view na sinasabi nila that it's protection of, protection daw of the unvaccinated. Kaya, paano nga yung what do they do with the survivors? Marami na yon. Diba? And it's more effective. Their immunities are more effective than those of us who had a vaccine.
But how do you feel about the fact that wala talagang defenders, okay, let's just put it that way, ang those people who refuse to be vaccinated for whatever reason, no? And those who have not been vaccinated, even the Commission on Human Rights has declared that they don't see this as an infringement. No, Parang there's nothing in the law that seems to defend their position right now, and napaka overwhelming yung opinion na dapat nga magpabakuna. And yung mga hindi na bakunahan, hindi dapat kayo pakalat-kalat, parang gano'n ang dating.
Maling, di ba? Doon pa lang sa sinasabi ko na paano yung mga unvaccinated na mga survivor. Doon pa lang mali na kagad eh. Hindi in-explore lahat yung mga sides eh. And if you're looking for someone who's going to defend the unvaccinated, I am one of those. Kung ayaw magpabaksin, ba't pipilitin mo? Di ba? Konbinsihin mo, huwag mong pilitin, huwag mong brasuhin. There are many ways perhaps of convincing them. Hindi dapat discriminatory dating eh. That's why I'm saying it's debatable kung walang legal ground to stand. If there is no legal ground to stand on to convince them, for them to be discriminated upon, on the other side also, there's no legal to stand on, legalities to stand on.
Senator, I think the science and the experience show na hindi nagbibigay ng ganung katagal na natural immunity yung infection. Kaya nga pinupush nila yung vaccination. I think that's the experience worldwide. Now you were mentioning alternatives to persuade people na mag-vaccinate. Ano kaya yun, yung mga naiisip ninyong yun?
Information dissemination. Remove from the most of them who do not want to be vaccinated. Ang nakarating sa kanila at ang nakikita nila ay yung mga nababasa nila kung sa social media or sa sa mainstream media, nababasa nila na may mga epektong ganito, may mga side effects. Kung may explain mabuti sa kanila yan, and then perhaps they will be on their own volunteering. But there is also one point, na maganda yung binanggit ni Senator Lacson yung isang araw na sinabi niya sa akin. Sabi niya, pag pipilit nila yan, andyan ba yung mga vaccine nila? Kompleto ba ang vaccine nila? Maraming ang lugar na may gusto, hindi available. Yung mga may available, maraming ayaw. Again, bottom line, sana timplahin muna mabuti. That's why I'm saying we should throw caution. The issue. Teka muna, huwag mapabigla-bigla.
Senator, these are all good points. Parang information, and from the very start, everybody was saying kailangan pagtingin, mas effective yung communications. But totoo rin naman po na, with all the communications, meron din talaga a lot of people, whether, for many reasons. It's not also just one reason why some people don't want to get vaccinated. But what do you say to the point also being made that in the meantime, na hindi ka vaccinated, whatever the reason is, this policy is also for your protection because The science and the data and the hospitals and DOH is saying karamihan ng nagiging severe cases right now are mga unvaccinated. Pagka bakunado ka, malinaw na malinaw, very mild or in fact asymptomatic. So this is actually for your own good. Habang hindi ka pa bakunado, this is for your protection. What do you say to that?
I say they should listen to you. Yung explanation mo, yung sinabi mo, yan ang dapat sinasabi ng DOH. Yan ang dapat sinasabi ng IATF. Imbis na parang basta discriminatory. Did you hear them explain?
Yun nga po eh. To be fair po, hindi naman po nanggagaling sa akin yan. Dahil ako, hindi rin naman ako expert.
You only get sound bites from them. That's the problem. They only get sound bites from them. There is no real effort. And it should be in coordination with the local government units, the local government officials. The LGUs play a pivotal role here. Kailangan maganda rin ang explanation nila doon sa mga unvaccinated. Targetin nila. Targetin nila. Let me take the case of some people who work for us. At least in the entire household, there are two who refuse to be vaccinated. Pero nung ini-explain ka mabuti, ngayon payag na. Kaya it's really a matter of, pwede mong wag brasuhin, pwede mong explikan. Kasi yung nangyayari, meron tayong tinatawag na espiritu de contradiction. Meron
Senator, maganda po yung example nyo.
Di ba?
Senator, maganda po yung example nyo na household. So kung pwede ko po, tanongin ko lang. Sa household na gano'n, na merong, sa household nyo, merong hindi bakunado. Tapos you try to convince, you share all the good information. Pero habang ayaw pa rin, ano po yung patakaran sa household nyo? Pinapalabas niyo ba yung kasambahay na yun, yung kasama nyo na, ikaw ang lumabas. Ano yung patakaran nyo?
Hindi, wala. Okay lang siya. Negative siya eh. Negative naman eh. Wala namang sakit. Wala namang So, wala kaming discrimination na ginagawa. Basta every now and then, getting the chance, kinukumbinsi. Even the other help na kasama namin, kinukumbinsi sila. Until finally, alam mo, I think ang convincing factor doon, the convincing line, I think, was, pagka nagkasakit ka, sige, magastos yan. Takot sa gastos. Takot sa gastos eh. So sabi ko I think government should explore different methods instead of parang strong arm dating na, bawal kayo sumakay na mahirap i-implement. I'm saying it's just ang gandang pakinggan. Again, soundbite na naman eh. Bawal na yung unvaccinated. Kaya nila? Tingnan mo gagawin sa mga jeep. Tingnan mo gagawin sa mga, bakit sa taxi, walang problema. Di ba? Yung taxi driver, hihingin muna yung card niya. Vaccination card. Paano sa jeep? At saka lalo na nag-uunahan. 5:30 na. Walang masakyan. Ano gagawin ng jeepney driver? Bababa siya, isa-isayin niya yung nagsisiksikan na may mga nakasakay sa likod, nakaangkas. Di ba?
Pero sir,
yung sa bus, paano gagawin?
Yes sir. Pero sir, then again sir,
difficult to implement. Ano lang ang tawag dito, magandang pakinggan. Magandang pakinggan, parang madiin. Pero how are they going to implement it? So baka mas maganda yung medyo soft approach. Sa akin, well, that's my opinion, of course, and they don't have to believe me.
Pero sir, then again, there are some LGUs that have already jumped on the bandwagon. For example, a good example is Infanta in Quezon. Nagpasa sila ng, hindi nagpasa, pumirma ang mayor ng ordinansa, ng executive order, imposing a fine of up to 50,000 pesos for violators of the no vaccine, no ride policy and imprisonment up to 6 months. That's a bit radical kasi parang daig pang ordinansa. 50,000.
Delikado yun. Delikado. Sino babayad ng 50,000? Yung nagsakay o yung sasakay?
It didn't specify, basta violator.
Mahirap yun. Parang it sounds like a campaign soundbite.
Senator,
Ang hirap i-implement din nun eh. At sino yung kukulong mo o sino yung 50,000 ipapain mo?
Senator, sabi ni President Duterte, almost 1 year na tong vaccination, tapos yung mga local governments nagpa-raffle na nga, at yung mga baka pinararaffle. Yan na yung soft approach, hindi pa rin makakumbinsa yung mga tao. Pag ini-interview, baka daw sila maging zombie kapag sila yung nagpa-vaccinate. So kaya uumpisahan nila itong medyo hardline na to. Yun ang well, one of the reasons for this apart from parang carrot and stick siya, you are incentivizing, pero pag meron ding disincentive. And encourage people daw na yun na nga, parang final push to get vaccinated. Ano po yung masasabi niyo naman sa ganong explanation?
Well, understandable yung mga explanation nila. Kaya lang, the government is supposed to serve the people, vaccinated or not. That's my mentality. Ibang mentality nila. Silang in government right now, those in power, they have a different mentality. But my mentality is that whether you're vaccinated or not, we serve everyone. The government should protect everyone. Kung ang sinasabi nila, protection nila yung babrasuhin nila para magpa-vaccine, well, that's their opinion. Perhaps that will last until June 30 of 2022.
What about those who downright refuse to be vaccinated for reasons that are for them also science-based, no? And there are many of those on YouTube, no? We're hearing,
Precisely.
we're watching scientists there saying, doctors themselves saying that
Correct.
the vaccines
Precisely.
are not safe. So what is your position on that? Is that something you think that should also be heard?
Indeed, yes, precisely. They should. That's the reason. There are people who refuse to be vaccinated because they see posts like that. They see research from other doctors and other scientists like that. Hindi ba?
Precisely, there's no convincing them.
Huh?
They're beyond
I think
convincing.
Senator, I think,
Because yun na yung position nila, di ba?
yeah, but I
These
think,
are the people
Senator,
who would, yeah.
Kaya nga, but they're citizens of the country. Let them be. They're not violating any law. Let them be. Leave them alone. Ayaw nila. Gusto nila magkasakit. Bahala sila.
but I think that would be,
Di ba sabi natin, para daw hindi makahawa. Siya mahahawa. Yung hindi vaccinated. O vaccinated ka naman bahala siya sa buhay niya. Ayaw niya eh. Di ba?
pero
siyang hindi eh.
Pero Senator, paano naman po yung argument ng sabi nyo nga po, lahat po protektahan. And here is government and our scientists, our researchers, the private sector, pharmaceutical saying, we are trying to protect everyone. Kaya nandyan yung bakuna sa lahat eh. Ayun na nga yung protection para sa lahat. Di ba? Parang it's being given to you. Ikaw yung ayaw ng proteksyon at ikaw ang nag-i-insist na hindi, ang protection ko is hanapan nyo ako ng ibang proteksyon. Hindi ko tanggapin yung In the meantime, you talk about science, you talk about doctors. There has to be some hierarchy here. Come on. There's the WHO, there's the CDC, there's the FDA, there's all the leading universities and so on saying na hindi, malinaw to. Yes, but take the pharma. But we also know there's WHO, there's FDA, there's CDC, there's all the institutions we put in place. There has to be some hierarchy here. Hindi to pahabaan ng dami ng YouTube na napanood. Di ba? Hindi to paramihan ng footnotes. Di ba? There has to be some authorities that are more authoritative than others.
Okay, these authorities that you are mentioning, WHO, etc., they all admit that even if you're vaccinated, mahahawa ka din eh. Ayun na sinasabi nila eh.
Pero Senator, hindi po yun ang punto eh.
Mahahawa din ako eh.
Pero Senator, this is where they're having a very hard time. But Senator, this is where they are having a very hard time trying to tell people. Magkakaroon ka ng COVID, pwede kang mahawa. Ang pinaglalaban natin dito yung sintomas. Pag bakunado ka, hindi gumagrabe. Pagka hindi ka bakunado, malaki ang chance that you will get severe. So iwanan na natin yung usapan na, nahawa ka rin. That's a given. People will get whether you're vaccinated or not.
But Robbie,
you can get positive, but the chances of becoming severe is infinitely higher for those who are unvaccinated. That is where the message is getting muddled right now.
Go ahead, Chief. I think you wanted to say something that I wanted to say. Go ahead.
No, I think because I've heard them and I know many of them, no, and they're also citing a different set of numbers. This is the problem, actually. They're citing a different set of statistics. They're also showing that it's not true that if you're unvaccinated and you get the COVID, that you're going to turn severe. As a matter of fact, they also say now that what's not being reported are the side effects, the adverse effects of those who have already taken the vaccines. I mean, so may ganyan din silang argument. No?
Yes, but
Except
but
that
again,
that's what I'm saying. They're not really being heard because all the authoritative institutions are on the side of the pro-vaccines. That's what I'm saying. No? So we're now at this crossroads where, well, the government is now saying, parang, if you're unvaccinated, you have no right to step out. And that's why we're here discussing it. How truly right is that? Is there a legal basis for even doing that? And well, because we're talking legal, what is the moral basis for also saying that? I mean, diba? So,
I'll go to the bottom line sa akin. Ang point of view ko. Bottom line ko, respect. Do not discriminate. Respect. Yun ang sa akin. Ano? Ayaw nila. Ako, nagpabaksin ako. Ilan baksin na ako. May booster na ako dati. And the people that I get to talk to, yeah, sinasabi, pabaksin. Yeah, pabaksin ka. Di ba? O, nagpa-booster ka naman. Okay. Pero those who don't, naayaw at ibang pinaniniwalaan na yung mga authorities na sinasabi natin, narinig din nila, alam nila, hindi sila bilib doon sa mga pangyayari, let's respect their opinion. Yun naman ang punto ko. Huwag namang discriminate kaagad. You know, we should try to find ways. Ang gusto ba natin 100% na ang vaccinated. At saka really, hirap talaga yung pagkakapasok ng social media, ng internet. Ang dami talaga lumalabas na kung ano-ano eh. Kaya marami silang napapaniwala eh. Napapaniwala sila na ang side effects ganito, ito yung ganito nangyayari kay ganyan, itong si Fauci, ano yan, bolero yan, itong si Bill Gates, ganito yan. Ganyan. How can you blame them? Hindi ba? So, still, sa akin, try to find other ways. Anyway, they made an order. They gave out an order to this effect. They'll do it on Monday. Let's see. Tingnan natin. Ako, I'm saying, bottom line sa akin, irespeto nila natin yung ayaw. Lalo na yung survivor na. Survivor na siya eh. May immunities na siya. Baka mas magaling pa immunities niya kaysa sa I know for a fact. Why? My daughter, Shara, was unvaccinated and she had COVID. After recovering, after a few months, we had this neutralizing antibodies. Ilang libo yung kanya. Yung mga vaccinated, ako vaccinated 549 lang. Si Helen 59. Si Shara, libo. 14,000 yata, if I recall it right. Ano yun? Survivor yun. Talo nun yung vaccinated. Tapos ayaw mong pasakayin yung vaccinated, yung survivor. Ayaw mong pasakayin ngayon sa transport, sa public transport.
Okay. Tito Sen.
Dapat consider nila yun. That's my point.
Tito Sen, I'm afraid we just have to go into a very quick break. So please stay with us. This will be very short. Okay, we're going to a break, so please stay with us. Welcome back to the Chiefs here on One News, and we continue our conversation with Vice Presidential Aspirant and Senate President Tito Soto. Sir, just to bring it up, in connection with our discussion earlier, the DOH and doctors also point out that we have several evolutions of vaccine mandates as well in our statute books. For example, requiring vaccination for preschoolers against measles, rubella, and so on down the line. May mga, and polio as well. So meron na pong president for requiring vaccinations for the general public, for the general welfare. And as well, there's also in the local government code what they call the general welfare clause, which empowers the local governments to, if they see the need, to impose certain regulations that they see will be for the general good. So yun po, Tito Sen, I'm wondering what you think of that. Meron pong, may president na po, kumbaga, dun sa parang vaccine mandate, yung requiring vaccines.
Pero those vaccines and those diseases na piniprevent yan have been there for ages. Ang pag-aaral doon, ages. Kaya natatakot yung iba dahil ito 1 year, 2 years, pinag-aralan to. Oh, baka 3 years. Unless naniniwala tayo na 5 years ago, alam na nila Bill Gates ito. Di ba? Based on their pronouncements. Naniniwala ka doon. Hindi ka pa naniniwala. Di ba? Alam mo ngayon na 1 or 2 years ago lang yan. Kaya okay lang yan. Even government, kahit diinan ng government yung anti-ganito, para sa mga bata, immunization, even sa matatanda we have immunization for, yung pinag-awayan namin ng DOH, no? Kami ni Senator Enrile, yung pneumonia, anti-pneumonia, binibili nilang ng 1,500 per shot, 750 lang sa Makati Medical. Yun yung pinag-aawayan namin dun yung immunization, pati si matatanda may immunization, diba? Pinipwersa nila yun. Okay lang yun. Kasi matagal na yun Kailangan na rin yun. Yung mga sakit na yun, matagal na. At itong mga vaccine na ito, matagal na rin. Na talagang mga effective. Pero itong mga nangyayari ngayon, kaya paano mo masisisi sila? Even those vaccinated, pagka nagkasakit or because of other diseases na meron sila, malala Malala din ang makikita mo sa tinatawag na our family doctor from Medical City sent me a graph doon sa mga most hospitalizations now, ang nakikita nila, incidental ang COVID-19. Dadalhin doon dahil may sakit. Yung sakit, ganito, ganyan. Pagdating doon, itetest, ay may COVID ka. Biglang nakalista na COVID. Pero ang totoo nun, may iba siyang sakit Kaya siya nag-ospital. Yan ganun ang records ng mga ospital nitong mga doctors na kausap namin. So, people know that. It happens to them. They hear about it. So, how can you convince them otherwise?
I think that's an exception, Senator. Hindi naman siguro tayo dinadaya ng gusto ng Department of Health na even PGH. I mean, we trust Dr. Jonas El Rosario, no? Sinasabi nila na karamihan sa hospitalization nila are the unvaccinated.
Noti ka, Ami, you know why? Sabi mo, hindi naman tayo dinadaya ng gusto. Ay, basically, dinadaya. Pero hindi gusto.
Hindi, kasi you are citing these cases hindi ba? Exception yan.
Hindi, siguro.
Talk about the majority of cases.
It's happening to one or two.
Sinasabi din naman nila na talaga namang meron din namang nagsisirius, pero the majority are not vaccinated. Na hospital. And yung karamihan sa hindi na mild and the symptomatic are the fully vaccinated and maybe boosted. So meron din naman ganun.
Ang issue dito ng gobyerno, baka makahawa. Di ba? Ang issue nila baka makahawa. Di ba? Kasi kung tutuusin, ayaw mo sila. Ayaw nila magpapaksin. Gusto nila magkasakit na toda sila.
Actually, Senator, I mean, not to
huwag sila makahawa, di ba?
No, but actually, Senator, let me jump in here also. That's what the experts that have been telling us for the past weeks. Actually, no. The answer is no. The issue is not na baka makahawa. The issue is sino ang gumagrabe. And as Ami was saying, the data being shared by PGH and the DOH and the data that we have shows na ang gumagrabe ay yung mga unvaccinated. Hindi issue yung kung sino makakahawa because tama po kayo. Lahat tayo, we can all test positive, we can all bring the virus over to each other. Pwede tayo maghawaan. Hindi yun ang issue. Yung issue doon is, ako kahit mahawa ako at makahawa ako ng iba, dahil bakunado ako, the chances are very high that my symptoms will be very mild. Kung yung nahawa ko hindi bakunado, ang siya ay if I remember right, the data shared by DOH, 84% yung chance na maging severe yung case. So hindi po ay parang let's also try to be very clear so people can watch. Watching can be very clear about this. Hindi issue yung baka kayo ang makahawa o kami ang makahawa. Ang issue is kung hindi kayo bakunado, mas malaki ang chance na maging severe. And that is precisely their point, that their message is this is for the protection of those who are not vaccinated. It is not, I'm not saying that I am for any mandatory, I'm not saying I'm for discrimination. I'm just saying that on the objectives level, they will insist that this is for protection.
Okay. O bakit nila pinagbabawalan kumain sa restaurant? Yung unvaccinated, kung yun ang mentality.
Dahil nga po,
hindi dahil makahawa, dahil protection nila.
Pero sir, kasi kabit-kabit po siya. Kabit-kabit po siya eh. Kabit-kabit po siya. The more people who get
wala silang bakuna,
the more people who get
magiging severe
infected,
sila.
the more pressure there is on our healthcare system, and the more dangerous it is for people who have comorbidities to get really sick and die. Kabit-kabit po silang lahat, from my understanding.
Kasi kaya lumalakas ang loob, yung thinking na ganyan, dyan lumalakas ang loob ng mga vaccinated eh. Kaya gumrabe tayo eh. From 200, 100 a day na lang, biglang 32,000, 34,000 eh. Because of that mentality, na vaccinated naman ako eh. Okay na ako. Hindi. Grabe. Lalo na yan, airborne daw yung Omicron. Mayroon pang Delmicron. Lumalakas tuloy ang loob ng mga, ngayon yung mga unvaccinated, maingat na maingat, tatatakot. Di ba yung vaccinated, lumakas ang loob. That's why, bottom line, again, debatable eh. Sa akin, debatable eh. Sa akin, I believe I respect them. We should respect them. Those who do not want to be vaccinated because they have a different thinking. At hindi natin sila makumbinse. That's simply my point.
Okay, sir. Formally, can we move to the formally issue now? Ngayon, sir, ayun nga, si Twinkle Dargani, pinakawala na. Dahil siya rin na COVID. Kinokonek ko lang. But where are we now on the formally investigations? And at this point, mag-umpisa ng campaign, no? And, well, we're going to be all very busy. Where have all the investigations, the hearings brought us?
All right. I will not be speaking for Senator Gordon. I will be speaking for myself. Yung nakikita ko doon sa mga dumaan ng hearings. Ano? I think they have enough. The Blue Ribbon Committee has enough to whatever point they would like to bring the issue of family. Ando doon na lahat eh. Meron ding about 2 or 3 personalities who do not want to speak, who have avoided. But pagka kinonekta mo yung mga pangyayari, kinonekta mo yung mga binili at mga pinambili, kung saan galing yung pinambili at kaninong sino sa gobyerno ang na-involve, alam na ng Blue Ribbon eh. So I think perhaps Senator Gordon or the Blue Ribbon might come up with 1 or 2 more hearings. But I think if they ask for my opinion as Senate President, I would say that just prepare the committee report. Just come up with the committee report already. Because we have 3 weeks to go. In this 9 days, the 3 weeks is 9 days. We have to finish the Maritime Zones Act, the Benefits Allowances for Health Workers Act, the Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Act, the creation of more anti-drug abuse councils, the amendments to the Philippine Deposit Insurance Corporation Charter. May mga mahalaga pang dapat ihabol namin before the campaign period eh. Once the campaign period kicks in, wala na.
Pero parang-
We'll be on break.
Yun na nga, sir. Well, okay, doon pa lang sa family, parang how do you demolish now the general impression na ginamit lang talaga ito para, well, ang politika,
No.
para sa kampanya dahil nga mag-election. So, pinangahawakan ngayon nila yon para pakita nga na may corruption sa gobyerno. But, are we seeing anybody actually who will be prosecuted and na may follow-through, na talagang meron bang kumpanya na masasara, sino mananagot? Ayan na naman
Yes.
tayo, sir.
I think those issues will all be contained in the committee report. I do not want to preempt the committee report, but I believe it will be contained. Yan mga binanggit mo. It does not mean, he can come up with a committee report, even a partial committee report, within a week or so, because there is already a draft of a first committee report. So a second committee report might be able to complete the whole picture. But there will be recommendations to the ombudsman for indictments or prosecution or investigations at the very least. Sigurado yun. Masyadong obvious eh. Sobrang 42 billion ililipat mo sa PSDBM. Pagkatapos ang bibilin iba presyo sa mga nabibili mo dati. And then you buy from the foreign companies instead of buying from the local companies at a much higher price. Sobrang obvious naman. Hindi na. And then, by the way, this investigation started when Senator Gordon was not even sure of what he was wanted to do. If he is going to run for re-election, if he was going to run for what. I knew that. Dahil noon pa lang pinag-uusapan na namin yan. Sabay-sabay kami ang plano namin mag-retire. Senator Drilon, Senator Lacson, Senator Gordon, ako. Kaming mga super seniors, led by yours truly, the Jurassic Senator, for being there since 1992. And they call me the Jurassic Senator. Ang plano talaga namin mag-retire. Kaya lang, this came out, it's so obvious. Sobrang in the middle of the pandemic. The point is, yung mga, if you steal money intended for the sick, you're worse than sick. Yun ang stand ng Senado eh. And I can speak for almost all of the members of the Senate. Huwag namang ganun. Pera para sa sa may sakit eh. Ginamit ng hindi tama. Ganun ang thinking, di ba? So yeah, we'll wait for the committee report. And we'll see how it comes out because hindi lang committee report yan, it has to be brought to the plenary. And in plenary, then we approve it. Kaya lalabas pa rin yung mga iba pang issues dyan in plenary. Like pretty much what I did with the PhilHealth investigation and the other investigations of the Committee of the Whole, of which I was chairman. And I came up with the committee report of the PhilHealth investigations. We wanted these people indicted. And we named all of them. And it was approved in plenary. Then it becomes a Senate report. Which the Ombudsman and the Department of Justice have used because it is an original Senate report. Pagka committee report pa lang, draft, hindi namin pinasa in plenary, hindi na narating sa plenary, it's a committee report. It's not a Senate report. Ganun eh. So we'll see. We'll see in the next 3 weeks on how it should go. But I think the Blue Ribbon is ready to just come up with a complete committee report.
Okay. Senate President Tito Soto, sir, maraming salamat po for joining us tonight.
Thank you again.
Ingat po.
Thank you, Tito Sen.
Thank
Maraming
you,
salamat po.
everybody. God bless. Mabuhay.
And now joining us is Vaccine Expert Panel Chairperson, Dr. Nina Gloriani. Ma'am, Dr. Gloriani, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening.
Good evening po.
Welcome back, ma'am. It's been a while since we had you here.
Yes, thank you. Happy New Year. Safer New Year to everyone.
Opo.
Happy New Year.
Doc, let's start off with yung the more immediate one, which is yung no bakuna, no ride policy, which will be fully enforced by Monday. Ano po? We're hearing all well, different opinions, of course. Your point of view po.
Okay, ganito po yan. I have been trying to actually address that a long time ago na po. Ito ang gagamitin ko kay yung ginamit ng ating director ng Health Promotions Bureau, si Dr. Ben Ho. Sa isang pandemya, and we have the appropriate, nagkaroon tayo ng bakuna, no? So there are 5 stages para magamit yung bakuna that everyone thinks scientifically is going to protect the people under a pandemic. And I have to highlight that. Number 1 is persuasion. And we did that. Pinersuade natin ng maraming tao. Ganun lang muna talaga. Parang sa family, papabakuna tayo ha. Pag hindi umandar, may konting nudge na daw. Number 2 na daw yun. Nudge. Ano ng konti. Yung pangatlo, nag-incentivize. May incentives, di ba? Nagkaroon ng mga libre yung may diskwento sa petrol, sa kung saan-saan, and meron pa mga raffle.
May bahay lupa pa.
May kulang pa rin. But you remember, I have to highlight, nasa pandemic tayo. There are many things we do not know about this virus pa. E nakita naman natin. Yung fourth is disincentive. Ano yung disincentive? If you want to work at di ka bakunado, come with a go to work with proof that you are negative. Because you want to protect other people. You have to protect other people who protect themselves. Yun. And then the fifth is the last one. Yun yung mandatory. I don't know if we can call this mandatory na kasi napipigilan na ang maraming tao pag hindi sila bakunado. Ang mandatory really is more of legislation siguro. Actually, yung sa mga children, alam ko meron yung mandate na kailangan ng mga bata ay fully immunized against all of this. No? Pero even dito sa pandemic, iba ang sitwasyon sa pandemic. Actually, I believe meron dapat police powers ang government. Kasi hindi mo alam, and especially for SARS-CoV-2, medyo mahirap talagang intindihin. We thought we were actually finally controlling it. And then what did we see? Susundan lang natin, 2020. Siguro mga by September, October, bumababa kaso. And we thought we were actually finally controlling it. And then lumabas isa-isa yung mga variants. And why? Dahil marami ang natatransmit pa, marami pa ang hindi protected, marami pa ang susceptible. So that drives the transmission. The viruses to replicate, and habang nagre-replicate, natural dito sa mga viruses na ito, ang mag-mutate. So mas maraming virus ang nanganganak, mas maraming mutation, mas mataas ang variation. Nakikita niyo yung sinasabi ko, na kulang kasi ang protection. This is all over the world, di ko lang sinasabi dito sa Philippines yan. So, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Delta, we had the 20,000, 26,000 cases September, October. And then finally, when all of these parang mga outbreaks, bumababa din eventually hanggang mawala, maubos yung susceptibles na tinatawag, yung hindi protektado, so bumaba. But then, kala natin off the hook na naman tayo. Pagpapasko, dumating si Omicron with a parang vengeance, with so much more mutations. And these mutations came from an HIV positive patient na hindi siya nagpapagamot din. So may chronic infection, immune deficient state, tapos nung nagkaroon ng COVID, yung COVID nag-mutate sa kanyang katawan. So yung mutation, of course we do not know exactly. Actually random ang mga mutations, pero medyo iba ito dahil napakarami niya, more than 50 amino acid mutations mayroon siya, pero yung mas marami doon nandun sa receptor binding domain, yung pumakabit doon sa host cell receptor. So ayun yung nangyari. Eto, there's still a lot we do not know. Pero what we know, ang nag-emerge na data ay vaccination protects against especially the severe form of COVID. Nakita na natin ngayon. O sa dami ng mutation ni Omicron, pero very, very highly transmissible siya. Pero nakita naman natin, mas marami rin ang smile.
Doc, Doc, I'll take this chance na rin habang it's always a learning experience with you at na-update niyo po kami sa latest Friday. I wanted to ask something also that binanggit ni Senator Soto kanina. Might be worth updating what we know, what we don't know about, sabi niya nga, mga survivors. So people who have tested positive, gone through the symptoms and so on. What do we know about any natural immunity that might imbue on us? What do we know about the efficacy of that, the length of that, and as well as the limits of that?
Yung natural immunity will depend on the person, kung ano ang level ng kanyang, yung health niya, yung immune system niya. Kung meron siyang mga sakit, ano ang age niya. So maraming factors yan. No? The immune response will depend on so many factors. Innate, galing sa doon sa pasyente o galing sa labas. So yung galing sa pasyente, largely age yan. At yung kanyang general health status or a previous exposure to an agent. In this case, may iniisip sila na may parang cross-reactivity with some coronaviruses, but right now, hindi ganun yung nakikita natin. So yun. Ang medyo na-pick up ko na sinabi ni Senator, ay yung anak niya, I don't know how old, yung anak, ay sobrang taas ng antibody levels. Pero siya ay po konti. Now, I do not want to compare the two ages or even the general health status of each person, but iba-iba ang responses ng mga tao. And then, if you got COVID, nagkaroon ka ng pwedeng asymptomatic, just the infection, you can get mild COVID, maybe that is due to yung inyong immune system is able to fight that virus, or ang nakuha nyong virus ay hindi masyadong virulent, so meron pa tayong factor ng virulence, yung mas nakakakos siya ng severe form. Ano pa ba? Teka, nawala ako.
Doc, if you don't mind, can I break in? Taking off from what Senator Soto said kanina, is it incorrect to say na palibasa nagka-COVID ka na, hindi ka na kailangang magpabakuna? Because that was, in part, that was the message that he brought in kanina.
Tama, I go back to my message. Yung mild, may magma-mild, may magma-moderate, may magse-severe, may mamamatay. Okay, yung mamamatay, syempre walang immunity yun. Yung mild, what we have found so far, scientifically, ay they only generate low immune responses, mas mababa than someone who got the severe form and recovered. So marami po tayong titignan. Iba-iba.
Sige, so taking off from that, Doc, na-curious ako. So since Omicron seems to elicit only mild forms of symptoms, does this mean that the natural immunity that we will get from it if we do get Omicron will also not last for very long?
It will also be low. Yun yung general na nakikita nating data, but we do not know yet. Kasi relatively new si Omicron, yung pag-ikot niya. We were still going to get data, yung persistence ng antibodies following natural immunity. Iba-iba yan, even for alpha, beta, gamma, delta na variants. O yun nga, kung mild sa form, severe, o ano yung tao, ilang age niya, healthy ba siya, may comorbidity pa siya, o may inom ba siya ng mga immunosuppressants. Iba-iba yun. That's why we cannot...
So it doesn't follow na, kasi yung sinasabi ni Father Austriaco baka daw blessing in disguise nga ito, di ba? Sa dami ng mga nagka-COVID bigla na Omicron variant, baka daw ma-endemicize na. What are the chances?
Well, it's possible that many, kasi ganito, we are in, sa sitwasyon tayo na marami na ang bakunado. Now, bakuna immunity, vaccine-induced immunity, plus nagkaroon ng breakthrough infection, you get now natural immunity. That is what we call hybrid immunity. And what we have learned so far, ang hybrid immunity ay mas mataas kahit versus either natural immunity or vaccine.
Oh, so hybrid. Bago yun ah.
Hybrid. Oh, matagal ko na yung sinasabi, baka hindi lang napipit. Yung
Hybrid
mas mataas.
immunity.
Yeah, pero hindi kayo magpapa-expose para lang magka-immunity.
Yes, of course.
You remember nung bata ako, bata tayo, yung chickenpox.
Chickenpox.
Ma'am,
Tama.
Work maybe that way, pero with SARS-CoV-2, it will not work. Kahit mild, pag marami nahahawa because of its very high transmissibility, it will also overwhelm the health system.
yes. Pero may isa pa rin namang based on the pandemic of 1912, no? Yung flu pandemic.
Spanish
Sabi nila, because of the behavior of Omicron, ang iksi-iksi ng period na and high transmissibility, yung combination, kahit mild siya, sa sobrang dami ng tao na mai-infect, mauubusan siya ng host, kaya she will
That's true.
That also correct.
Kaya lilipat siya doon sa iba. Pero yun nga, tama yun. May tama doon. Kasi magkaka-immunity, lalo yung mild. Kahit pa paano mag-immunity, especially the young people. Pero what about ang elderly? Ang may immunocompromised conditions, sila ang magiging severe dyan and they're likely to die kahit sila bakunado. Yun yung ina-avoid po natin. Sorry. I got heated up also.
Okay. Yeah. Ay, nako. So, abangan ang mangyayari dito sa Omicron.
We have enough data to show naman that these vaccines actually work. Imagine niyo kung hindi nagbakuna up to 70% for the NCR or actually mga 40% lang less sa ibang Imagine niyo ilan ang nag-severe dyan.
Pero Doc, usually ang mga coronavirus and mga flu viruses, walang lifetime immunity. No?
Yeah, because they tend to change.
Yes.
Iba-iba nag-mutate.
Yes. So, okay.
Pero may cross-reactivity na tinitignan. Tapos what we're trying also to explain is kahit mababa ang antibody nyo, kung ang T-cell response ninyo ay maganda, and that is something that we don't normally test, kasi mahal po yung test ng T-cells at mas complicated gawin. Pero yung data now, mas mabuti ngayon, ang data is not just the neutralizing antibodies, but the T-cell response. Yun ang nakikita nila na nagsisave ang mga vaccines doon sa more severe form. Sustained yung T-cell response. At hindi sila gaanong affected na mutations, unlike the antibodies.
Yes. Okay.
Doc, I think we'd like you to have the last word here. Can you come back? Can you give us again your message regarding the importance of vaccinations and booster shots, given the fact, especially that you have so many places all over the country, the regions all over the country, where you have only 30-40% vaccination so far. BARM is at 9%. I mean, that's terribly low.
Right, 9%. And then the others, nakita ko 25, 30, 40%. Ang NCR lang ang nasa 70%, no?
Of their population,
so
yes, ma'am.
We urge everyone na rin. We still have to get that level of protection for everyone. No, we do not think of just ourselves, but others. So, clear naman yung data on pag 1 dose lang, this is how much protection you get. Pag 2 doses, you increase that. Pag the 3rd dose pa, you increase that some more. And I have been saying this all along, yung broadly reactive responses will also protect against the variants. So yun po, medyo mababa than the original strain. Pero nandun po yung protection. So we urge everyone sana at yung mga Yung kung okay lang yung mga hindi nagpabakuna, wag na lang po lumabas to protect themselves also.
Okay, ma'am. Doktora, very, very clear po. Maraming salamat po for joining us tonight at ingat po parati.
Pasensya na. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Doktora.
Thank you.
Doktora Nina Gloriani, ang pinuno po ng Vaccine Expert Panel, ma'am. Thank you for joining us at ingat po parati. That'll be all for this edition of The Chiefs. We hope as discussed here will keep the conversation going. Before we go, reminder to our viewers, mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines, and get vaccinated. I'm Edlin Gao.
I'm Mami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez, News 5.
I'm Robbie Alampay, and we are One News.